are the coolest dudes on the planet?
United States veterans.
What's the coolest sport on the planet?
Pro wrestling.
And what would be the coolest podcast on the planet? That would be this one.
U.S. military vets talking pro wrestling.
This is the No Shave Man Cave. Two badass disabled vets sharing their love of pro wrestling, giving you their perspective as fans, talking about current events and matches, history of titles, and who knows what else. Let's do it.
Welcome to the No Shave Men Cave. Now your hosts, Ellie Jair and Jay Tilley.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, wrestling fans and sports entertainment fans, welcome to the No Shave Man Cave. I'm Ellie Jair.
I am Jay Tilley.
Hey man, I'm glad we're doing like a 10-minute episode today because there's not much to talk about. So
No, not at all.
As Cody says, so Jacksonville, what do you want to talk about?
Man, boy. So we covered WWE on Thursday or Tuesday show, and today's AEW day. I have a feeling we might get a little more discussion out of this because holy crap, All Out was really good,
dude.
And so I don't know if you got. I know you hadn't had a chance to watch it yet, so I don't know if you caught up on it or not yet.
Yeah, I caught up on a lot of it through YouTube, which I really appreciate. I'm not going to call out any specific streamers because I don't want their accounts being shut down, but a lot of really good feeds, and like it's really cool because you get their point of view and then you hear what they're saying, and it's like it almost amplifies the excitement of just some amazing professional wrestling. And hell yeah.
All Out was, so they had All In, which was good, borderline amazing. I think when it came out or walking out of it, I was like, man, that was probably one of the best pay-per-views I've seen. And then they turned around and did All Out, and I'm like,
dude,
I actually think that was better than All In some aspects. So really interesting show, man. All Out was very, I don't even know how to put it. It's almost like we can get into the CM Punk talk and all that, but it's almost like that dark cloud that has been hanging over him since Brawl Out last year is gone. Not that everything was horrible the whole time, but with Brawl Out happening, that kind of put a black eye on AEW in general. Right. And it was the anticipation like, well, are the Elite leaving? Is CM Punk leaving? Are they both leaving? Okay, we're going to separate shows. Okay, that's still kind of weird, but if that's what's going to work, that's what's going to work. So then there was this weird thing. All right, well, now we have Collision, and now he's not letting people come on to Collision. It doesn't want people on there. And then he's cutting promos after Collision on Hangman Page, who's been nothing, kept his mouth shut this whole time. Right. And then, so it's like all this weird stuff happened. And I almost feel like, not that CM Punk was a black cloud, but it's almost like Tony Khan finally put his foot down, made a decision, and as a leader finally grew into that role of, we're not doing this anymore. And, yes, I'm sure it was a tough decision. And he came out in front of the live crowd in Chicago and announced it, did the video package before Collision. So he absolutely did like the business part and owned up to it and said, hey, I made this decision. And, the stories keep coming out on what all happened backstage. We'll never know unless they actually release the video that I guess got caught. But it just made the whole vibe of All Out to me feel a little different. Like it felt like the guys went, all right, we don't have this hanging over us anymore. Let's go out and put on a hell of a show. And man, they put on a hell of a show, from just some really good booking decisions that I didn't see coming right away to Ricky Starks carrying Bryan Danielson in a match.
Dude,
and I know if you're listening, it's going, what?
Totally.
But no, it's true.
Totally,
like Bryan Danielson said it. He said, my arm is not healed. I had to come in and do this. And if it wasn't for Ricky Starks, he carried me that match. Like, that's a huge shout out from a legend. And yeah, top to bottom, it was a great card. I really enjoyed it. Things going into it, like was it Shane Taylor, Samoa Joe? When they booked that, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But then when it played out, and the fact that it was actually part of this MJF story they're going to move forward with, I was like,
man,
whoa,
yes.
That was really good. Yeah. Like, I understand why that was on the card, because it gave that little shove, the meme we see all the time of Samoa Joe shoving young MJF. It gave him that shove, and led into this whole. I was just like, that's genius booking.
Yeah, I can't wait to see MJF try and do a kangaroo kick on Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe walk out of the way,
Just step away.
and freaking MJF is laying on his back, like. And I'm not happy or glad, or happy or sad, but I find it very I don't know the right word, poignant, I guess, because you use the word finally. And you, as a AEW original, as close to original as a fan can come, like, hey, everybody, Jay Tilley was there at the press conference. We don't live and work that far from Jaguar Stadium where they announced everything, and Jay Tilley was there. That's a damn original. And for you to say finally, I think that's very significant, because your fandom sort of starts to wane after a little while. You're like, okay, like, I'm a huge CM Punk fan. It's whatever. But like, for you saying, I'm a huge CM Punk fan, I'm a huge AEW fan, Tony, thank you. Like, what we've been saying, should have been saying to Trish all along. Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Tony, for sacking up and holding your wrestlers and account. I don't want to say employee, because that just sounds subservient, but his wrestlers are amazing. And like you said, that cloud is gone now. And now they're like, all right, let's go. We got nothing to worry about. Let's grip and rip.
And I think so. All Out itself was good. Enjoyed All Out. A lot of it was very very well done. And like I said, there was that vibe in the building too. Like, even with the fans, like, I really thought coming into All Out, I'm like, this could be rough. They're going to get CM Punk chants. They're going to get FU Tony chants. They're going to get all. I didn't get any of that. And to the point where, like, you feel like, because at first I thought, well, maybe it's just me thinking, okay, it's finally done. Deep breath. Because I'm not going to lie, even at All In, I was going, oh, God, I hope CM Punk doesn't get in a fight with anybody. Like, every time he's around, it's just like,
yeah,
don't let him talk on the mic. Don't let him do this, because you hear the stories of Collision. You hear all that together, and then for it to happen, I'm like, God, man, why ruin it? Why ruin that special thing?
Yeah.
Whether or not
it's so upsetting.
Jack Perry, like, whether or not Jack Perry meant malicious by it or not, which I'm sure he did. I'm sure it was supposed to be a dig, but dude, it's words.
Yeah.
It's words. Like, why? Like, are you that sensitive? Anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm the only one that's going to think that way. But the reaction to the fans at All Out made me realize that, okay, maybe I'm not the only fan that was finally like,
oh, I can breathe.
Okay, we can move forward. Like, we don't have to worry about, all right, well, CM Punk's going to be here on this time, so that means Elite can't be here in this building. All right, that means Hangman has to be over here. Oh, wait, he doesn't like Christopher Daniels either, so he has to be. Oh, wait, Christopher Daniels is also the head of talent relations? Well, then how come, like, wait, it's just like, now, and I'm sure the decision was hard for Tony Khan, but at the same time, he had to feel that too. Like, oh, God, I don't have to worry about, all right, I need to book CM Punk at this time, get him in, out of the arena before these guys show up to do their match. And I got to make sure he doesn't say anything in his promo that hurts these guys' feelings. And it's just like, so it's got to be a relief. And watching All Out, I think everybody kind of felt that. It was just kind of like, oh, okay. Now we're back to being All Elite. We're back to All Elite Wrestling. Yeah. And personally, I think that carried over into Dynamite. So I thought this Dynamite was a good show.
Yeah, I thought Dynamite was really strong. I really enjoy Collision, like the whole, like, energy of the show. But and then, reports are that basically Tony has tapped the American Dragon as his right hand. And that has got to be so freeing for Tony, who's got his hands in literally everything in sports and wrestling and multimedia and NFL and soccer and all this other stuff. He has someone that is not, like, full of drama and is like a borderline, not even borderline, a legend. And if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, like Dave LaGreca says over on Busted Open, if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, they probably should do away with the Wrestling Hall of Fame and, all that. Because I'm so impressed, and I'm happy. I was so happy to see him. But at the same time, I was a little confused because it's the American Dragon, it's the BCC, and he shows up all smiles, and I'm like, wait a minute, are we getting played? Is this gonna blow up? Because the BCC, this has got to come, like, it's gonna have to fester. And just imagine Bryan Danielson and Moxley for the international title on Collision on September 11th, or that, just something significant. It won't be on the 11th because the 11th day, but I think you get what I'm saying. I'm super impressed and very, very, very proud of AEW, and I commend Tony for making this decision, because, like you said, it had to have been heartbreaking. Like, oh my God, he's like not my childhood hero, but I've looked up to him my whole life, and to have him like be right here with me to work with, boom, it blows up in his face. Not once, but twice.
Twice. And yeah, had to have felt a little bit of relief on that. And then you mentioned, Bryan Danielson coming in and how it was weird for the BCC. I agreed, but I also understood that it was like, oh God, I just fired CM Punk. Who am I going to put in there? And, I wouldn't be surprised if Bryan Danielson came in and said, put me in, coach. I'll do it. Hey man, your arm's still broken. I'll be all right. We'll figure it out. So
now, how awesome is this for Ricky Stark too? He's now done good business with the right hand of Tony Khan. He did great business for AEW, period. He's been stopped and started, more times than any other wrestler on the AEW roster. And now he comes out on the other side and he gets this major rub from Bryan Danielson. Dude, Ricky Starks, you better gas up the jets, man. He is... I don't know what they're going to do with the Collision situation with the title, and if the Real World's Championship is dead now. But he needs to get strapped up and be the face of a division of a really, really good, high quality feud. And man, I mean, now that CM Punk is gone, Hangman Page is sitting there. That would be some fun. Styles make fights. I think that would be really good. Maybe he goes into it and there's a big mix up with Big Bill, and there's a program with him. That might not be significant enough, because Big Bill, he is who he is on the roster. He's a big dude, and you can't teach that.
So from what I understand, and again, I don't have inside sources or anything, but just from what I'm reading, I'm like Fightful and putting together pieces. Sounds like CM Punk had a pretty heavy hand in the booking of Collision. So, which you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
You see some of the stuff he did, but apparently like Bryan Danielson's going to step up and fill that hole now. So, I don't know if he's going to have full control over Collision or what, but I mean, why not give it to him? He's got the mind for it, and it's something he's talked about wanting to do. So, hey, give him a run at it. But that brings me to the other thing about CM Punk. Like, and it's going to come off like I'm complaining about it and I'm mad about CM Punk, which I am, but more disappointed because I am a fan. It was great to see him come back. I got goosebumps when that cult of personality hit the first time in AEW.
Oh yeah, I got a big lump in my throat. Like,
yeah, me too. It's like, oh my God, this is happening. This is awesome. Yeah. But he blows his spot not blows his spot, but he, blows up at Brawl Out last year. And so all the fallout that comes with that. And so, Tony Khan probably went to him, all right, like, here's what we're going to do. We'll keep you guys separated. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you your own show. I'm going to let you get a championship. You're going to take it. You run this show. I'll bend some of because there's some like AEW, things that they had always laid out that they didn't do. Like, you didn't see screwy finishes. You didn't see all this weird stuff. So it's almost like he gave in some of those when CM Punk came in too.
Oh, I didn't even
and
catch
gave
that.
him all this stuff.
That's strong. That's a good point.
Yeah. Like, he almost gave into some of the older tendencies that AEW had gotten away from for a long time. And, just weird, funky things, and gave him his own show. And then he blows it up again. Like, how much can you give a guy and say, I'm going to give you all this. I'm going to give you all you got to do is don't beat up anybody backstage. Just let it roll off your back. And he can't do the first major pay-per-view where they're intermingled pretty well. He can't do it. And not even during the pay-per-view. It was on the damn pre-show with Jack Perry of all people. No offense to Jack Perry, but it's Jack Perry.
So knowing what went on before the match and the match that we got with CM Punk and Samoa Joe, what is your view or feeling about that match, knowing what happened prior to and the business that was done even after all of that occurred?
I think it shows how much of a professional Joe is, because Punk's emotions were probably high. Now, I'm sure Joe and Punk are probably really good friends because they've had rivals, and I'm sure I'm sure he was able to talk him down a bit, which all accounts say he's the one that broke him up and got him to go out and do the match, because apparently he wanted to quit. So, but at the same time, like, it gave me a new respect for Joe, which obviously Tony's paying back because now he's going to be in this program with MJF, which we'll get into Dynamite here in a minute, but what a promo battle. So I think it's maybe a fitting end to Punk's career that he went out on top with an AEW championship in front of the largest crowd, ever.
That's a good point.
Opening the show, largest crowd ever in wrestling, with one of his best friends, from what I think. I don't know for sure, but I would assume they're pretty good friends. Getting the win over them, standing in front of those crowds. So in retrospect, looking at it like as a big moment, like if that's your retirement match, can't really go out any bigger than that. It sucks there wasn't more pomp and ceremony around it, but that's his own fault. So
yeah, that's true.
And I'm not saying he won't pop up in WWE or he won't pop up in TNA. I don't know if anybody'd be willing to take that risk, because if you put him in a locker room, even in a locker room, by all accounts, before he got there, he even said it before he got there, was a good locker room and not a lot of politics. And the boys were all out to have a good time. And, they weren't cutting each other's, cutting out, stabbing each other in the back to position and everything. And he said that. That's what he said brought him into AEW. And in a matter of 2 years, it seems like it's not that way now.
Yeah,
so you're going to take him and put him in WWE, which I don't know the culture in WWE. They're a lot more tight-lipped, but there are stories that have come out in the past about how it's very cutthroat. And, the Miz tells a story about he couldn't even change in the dressing room. He had to change in the hallway because he didn't pay his dues, and Randy Orton shitting in people's bags. And so, it's not a great culture to begin with. You're going to throw CM Punk in there, who would come in as a prima donna. I could see him walking into Rollins' office and saying, all right, this is Seth. You go share with everybody else. I'm taking this private dressing room. So I maybe not. Maybe he'll go in there and be smooth. And if he goes to WWE, I don't know that he will. I just think he needs to walk away. I think it's obviously too much for him. So yeah, it's a shame we're talking about that much CM Punk stuff when I really wanted to talk about All Out and the Mox and Orange Cassidy match that just absolutely blew my expectations out of the water. The Takeshita and Omega match, man, some of those, I swear I thought Omega broke his neck like 4 times in that match. What a hard-hitting, just brutal match. So, but again, we're talking Punk, but this should be the last time. Hopefully we won't talk about Punk anymore.
And
because the point of it all was to say that I feel like it's cleared the air now.
Right. I dropped on our No Shave Man Cave on X or Twitter, whatever your icon says, if you haven't updated your app, or a couple of the threads there. So CM Punk recently, congratulations to CM Punk. He recently received an honor from the Cauliflower Club and received the Iron Mike Award. And the speech he gave was just like, it really made me feel like I wish I would have followed, like, and I'm air quoting here, my dream, because I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And at the time I wanted to be a professional wrestler, I was like 5'7" and weighed maybe 100 pounds on a good day. After dinner, maybe. And
before a good poop.
Yeah, before. And, CM Punk that was essentially the speech. Like, I grew up, I didn't ever really fit in. I tried different sports and it never stuck. And, now here he is, and, he'll go down as a mixed bag in professional. The pipe bomb promo, the this promo, the that promo. But when you listen to his speech, it sounds so different than the human being that we hear about through all of the wrestling media. So you could be on one school of thought. One, if you're pro Punk, hey, he went over to this young company because he wanted to help elevate them, and, all these zeros I can't walk away from either. He goes over, and all of the wrestlers and the EVPs are a little bit younger. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to push the company. They're targeting Punk because they know, like, his reputation. So if you're pro Punk, you're like, oh, they targeted me, blah, blah, blah. If you're anti-Punk, he knew what he was getting himself into, and he just needed to be an adult. He needed to be a legend. He needed to be a Hall of Famer. Well, I'm neither side of either or. I am a pro wrestling fan, and I really wholeheartedly wish that it would have worked out. And
Yep,
I
me too.
wish CM Punk nothing but the best, him and AJ. I hope they just go off into the sunset and have so much success, and they're so happy. They don't think twice about what happened, and we don't talk about, almost like Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno anymore, and we're ready to move on to the next chapter of AEW post Punk.
Yep, I agree. And his speech was really good, and I agreed with you. And I think that's one of the things that draws me to wrestling is there's so many of those underdog stories. You hear about these guys who didn't fit in, who didn't this, didn't that, who are now. Orange Cassidy just did a really good one, Dynamite last week. Really good speech. Darby Allin has done those kind of promos. And MJF is another one who,
Yeah, I was
again, don't know
to
how
say,
real
yeah,
MJF
yeah.
is, but throwing quarters at him and calling him little Jew boy and all this, like all this stuff. Yet they come together and they allow us to suspend our belief and enjoy professional wrestling. And I think that's a point that a lot of people miss nowadays. And we get into this tribalism of, like you said, pro punk, anti punk. Okay, you go on X and you think these guys are gonna go out and war each other and spit venom, and they're so toxic about, well, it's they should have fired Jack Perry. Oh, they should have done this, and Jack Perry went off script, and this, or CM Punk was a scumbag. It's so toxic, but that's where I think wrestling fans, us, need to kind of come together and go, guys, just enjoy it, be positive, right? Like we talk about it. Like I'm not a huge WWE fan, but I enjoy it. I'll sit and watch it. You weren't. I've turned you a little bit, but you weren't a huge AEW fan. But it's not like we got on here and I went, Jared, I hate you. You're stupid. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. WWE sucks and you're wrong all the time. It's so wrestling, whether you want to say it this way or not, but it's art, and art is subjective, and people are allowed to have different opinions about it. I think where some of the goofiness comes in now is that we have so much access to the non kayfabe and the kayfabe and the shoot, and so we get into this mindset of almost like we form this parasocial relationship with these wrestlers, and I don't think it's always healthy. Not saying don't be a fan, but your life doesn't hinge on whether this person is really who they are on the show, right? Like the Ultimate Warrior wasn't really, well, yeah, he was a little crazy, but he wasn't a warrior painted, like he didn't wear face paint in real life. Right. Brutus the Barber Beefcake was not a real barber, and well, the Giant was pretty big, but I mean, it's like George the Animal Steel didn't really eat cotton all the time. It's like
he was like a professor or something in the city of Detroit, and I like how you used the words you used, because you're like, it's we watch wrestling or we enjoy sports entertainment because of the suspended belief. We didn't fit in, or we didn't play traditional sports, the soccers, the footballs, the basketball. We skirted around and used to have to sort of live in the shadows as wrestling fans.
I played D&D.
And D&D, like we were, we had alternative entertainment. I'd watch, all the guys skateboarding, and I'd just be sitting there watching them skateboard. Like, I'm going to go home. I've got some Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I'm going to go home and read about what Tommy Wildfire Rich was. I can't wait to see Tommy Wildfire Rich in real life, because at the time we didn't have access to Georgia Championship Wrestling, and a lot of the people that I tape traded with, all they had was like the early start of the Japanese Extreme. Before there was CZW and ECW and everything. And man, it's just, so you have the suspended belief, and then you have the diehard fan who just suspending their belief. They're not just suspending their belief. There are times where us as fans were delusional. So like I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I think every year, this year the Golden Domers, we're winning one. Okay, let's calm down. Our recruiting class, yes, we were in the top 10, but Dallas Cowboys fans, delusional. I'm a New York Giants fan, delusional. Raiders fans, every year, the Raiders. Okay, fine, whatever. Wrestling fans we're just diehard on what we're diehard about. I love what I love. You really love what you love. And there are times where our compadres in our fandom are like, dude, are you on that stuff? Like, dog, like just relax, just enjoy it. And how you and I were able to like, dude, check this out. Watch this match. This is the match I need you to watch. And I'm just like, dude, where I've been sleeping on this. And now here we are, just really enjoying just this awesome boom era of professional wrestling, all the great stuff going on in Japan, Stardom, New Japan, with a couple of women's titles now, which I think is just sick. And the titles are beautiful too. I love that strong title, just awesome. I love the color and the design and everything. And it's just there's so much good stuff going on. And if you don't mind going forward, and you and I were much the same school of thought. We are not going to bash people for what they think about professional wrestling. And when we start taking phone calls, it isn't going to be like, hey, Jared, you're a dumbass. And I hope you, get 10 counted in life. What the hell does that mean? Like, so CM Punk, thank you for the memories. I'm not going to future endeavor you, because that's not fair. Wish you nothing but the best. And I still have one of your shirts, and I may or may not wear it one day.
Yeah, I've got a few, and I'll probably wear them. And
I found my American Dragon shirt the other day. I was like, oh,
nice. Yeah, it's yeah. And you said something earlier about clean slate, and I think that's what Dynamite was, to transition to talking about Dynamite a little bit. Is I felt like All Out was like, okay, here we go, and I felt like Dynamite to me felt closer to some of the older Dynamites than we've had in a while.
awesome.
I understand it was a probably place setting, as Tony Khan has said in the past, how he, after pay-per-view, we kind of get this Dynamite where he's putting pieces into position. And I felt like that on this Dynamite for sure. But I also felt like the vibe in the building was a little different. It wasn't the biggest crowd. I think they barely made 3,000, if that, in the Farm Dome, or I don't remember where they're at. But, it was a small crowd. But there were times that crowd sounded a lot louder than they have in the past. And I thought there was some just brilliant booking on this episode of Dynamite. And to start off with the first probably 15, 20 minutes of it so you get Orange Cassidy coming out, and Orange Cassidy cuts a promo about, hey, I'm not a champion. They told me to stay home, but I don't want to stay home. So now we're seeing this, and, I'm going to be here every week, and I'm going to keep fighting. So this, I don't care, I don't want to be here from wherever guy now likes the limelight and has realized that he enjoys this life, and he's going to start trying. So we've seen this evolution of his character. And I love I'm freshly squeezed, and I don't have a catchphrase. I love it.
Which now has become his catchphrase.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I need to get that shirt.
I want to get that shirt. But so we've seen this evolution of his character, and he leaves as Jon Moxley's coming to the ring for his title defense with AR Fox. I'm like, that's weird booking. Like, how did AR Fox? Well, whatever. It'll be a squash match and everything. Well, then Orange Cassidy waits on the stage because he doesn't really want to leave. He's enjoying the spotlight. And I don't think he's done with Moxley. AR Fox and Darby Allin come out, and you get this moment between Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. And I'm like, oh, all right, that's interesting. Then you get the AR Fox in the ring, which leads to the story with Darby Allin and Nick Wayne. That's going to also take place later in the night. So you've got Darby Allin watching AR Fox in the match with Nick Wayne. They're watching on the screen. And now you've got the end of the match, and AR Fox is getting beat up. So so Darby Allin leaves Nick Wayne and runs into the ring. Well, Nick Wayne has been saying, like, I don't know why he forgave him so much. He literally beat the hell out of me, bloodied me up worse than I think he's ever beaten anybody. But Darby's leaving him to go check on AR Fox, and then Christian slithers in there and drops some like, hey, I looked up your dad. Yeah, he really did suck. And, tell your mom I check her DMs and all that. But, like, all that took place in the first 20 minutes, and you set up all these storylines. It made me go, I kind of want to see Orange Cassidy versus Darby Allin.
Oh, yeah.
It made me go, I really want to see AR Fox versus Nick Wayne again. Ooh, I want to see Darby Allin and Nick Wayne, which we're going to see. I want to see heel Nick Wayne team up with Christian. Ooh, maybe we'll get a Christian versus Nick Wayne. I'm there for that. Like, they did all this in that little nothing match for Moxley, and we didn't. And obviously we set up like, oh, Moxley and Cassidy again, maybe, and like there's other stuff going. I just was like, that's the kind of booking I remember falling in love with AEW on, is these things that you don't think matter, like this match that's going to be a nothing match to go, oh my gosh, like they've connected all this stuff now. And we get it again later in the night with Hangman and Swerve. So you get Swerve, or Hangman comes out, and, cuts a promo about donating money. And then Swerve just comes out and cuts deep. And now I'm like, that's a match that I never thought I wanted to see, but I really want to see now.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're both really athletic. They're both on the complete polar opposite sides of the spectrum, where Hangman is that uber white meat baby face. Everybody loves me. I've overcome so much. I had an eye patch before I was your champion. And then
Arr.
Swerve, yeah. And then Swerve is like, hey, I'm me. I'm a mogul. I'm going to get mine. And if Swerve isn't wearing a title by the end of this year, I mean, not that I don't want to say they've missed the mark, because he's still going to be getting paid and he's still going to be on the top of the card. But him carrying a title would really put some legitimacy on him and that title. And I love how you were talking about Christian. That scummy bastard. Like, hey, make sure you tell your mom I said hi.
Yeah.
Dude, where they're going with this, I could see them coming down, and Nick, whether Nick is fighting joining Christian or loving that he's getting attention from Christian, and one of these times they're going to pan to the crowd and Christian is going to be sitting with Nick's mom,
Yep.
and
I thought the
Darby
same.
Allin and AR Fox are going to be sitting there going, this is what I was telling you. This is who he is. He's more of a father and a role model than you'll ever be. And it'll just be like, man.
Or Nick Wayne's mom's gonna be sitting there, and Christian's daughter will be sitting on her lap or something.
Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, so dirty.
Something awful. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, that'd be kind
Damn.
of funny.
That's freaking dirty.
That'd
You
be pretty
and you
funny.
could see Christian doing that, like someone catch, and he's like, security, grab this kid. Like, oh man, I love it. I freaking love it, dude.
Yeah, I thought so. At All Out, Hangman Page was on the. Speaking about the Hangman Page Swerve thing, was on the pre-show in that Battle Royal, and I thought that's really weird. Like, everybody else in the Elite is on the main card and doing something, and I thought it was weird. But I'm like, I'm gonna wait and see. And sure enough, damn it, if Swerve didn't bring it up and make it a talking point to start their feud, I was like, see, this is the stuff that brings me back to AEW over and over again. The other just blow away amazing promo in my opinion was MJF and Samoa Joe. Like, holy cow. MJF, I don't even know what to call his character, because I don't want to say he's a baby face, because the stuff he says is not baby face. But at the same time, like, he's a genius. He's just a genius in this business right now. I don't know. I can't think of anyone better than him right now in on the mic work, in the buying into his character, everything he does. Like, I fall for every time. Like, even when he does his
love how you
signings,
said that. I fall for. He freaking got me. I thought he was a good guy, and he does some shticky punk ass heel thing, and then later, oh man, he's such a heel, and then next thing you know, double clothesline, and you're like, what?
Yeah, you're chanting for double. I watched a video 2 months ago, him making a baby cry. At a signing
when he threw
throwing toys and stuff, and looking at the babies and making them cry. And now I'm like chanting for him to do double close, and I'm like, God dang it, he's good.
Dude, yeah.
But and that's a guy that's just studies the business, and his in-ring work is great. So, but that promo between the two of them, I really enjoyed that. And this whole twist with Roderick Strong and Adam Cole, like that, it's such a great, again, masterful booking stuff that I'm really into. Then we had the Sex Gods, or Le Sex Gods. I guess it's not it's just Le Sex Gods.
Yeah, when they do the pose in the ring,
yeah.
Like, you dirty dogs.
Yeah, I think Jericho, man, is probably one of the best tag team mind booking. I don't know how to put it, but every time I see him in a tag team, I'm just like, good. And I've just got to think that it's him, because it doesn't seem like a coincidence when I think the Sex Gods are one of the best tag teams out there. And I hate that they're kind of building it up to be an end to them, because I would really love to see them do a run, go against FTR, have some matches against the Young Bucks as the Sex Gods, and just have a good run as the two of them. Because I just think the magic between the Young Bucks and the Sex Gods, I think would be a really good match. And I think FTR and them would be good. But I understand what they're doing. They're doing the pull your heartstrings. Guerrero and Jericho are going to break up and have a match, which is fine.
So do you think this pairing, I mean, yeah, so do you think this pairing is good for Jericho's image or for the current and future of Sammy Guevara?
I think I think everything Jericho's been doing with Sammy is good for Sammy. I think he legit took him under his wing. I think if they have a match and Sammy goes over in the long run, obviously, which I think Jericho will do, love him or hate him, Jericho is pretty good about doing the job when he needs to do the job. It seems like he did it to Will Ospreay. He's done it. He's done the job to Darby Allin. Like he is not. He doesn't have this ego on him. I don't
Yeah.
think. I don't know
It
him
doesn't
personally.
seem like it. Yeah, I totally agree.
If you
with
want to call me Jericho, we can get to know each other
hey,
personally. That's cool.
Chris,
But
have your two favorite veterans talking about wrestling and a bunch of other shit. Bam! LEJ or Jay Tilly, the No Shave Man Cave, coming to you on Jericho's Talking Jericho.
yeah,
let's
talk is Jericho. I'll watch some horror movies if I need to.
Oh
and,
man,
we'll talk about them.
I have to watch that
might be
during the
pushing
day.
All the lights
So
on with it muted.
Yeah, so scary. Looking at it through my fingers, like no.
It's funny. I was talking to somebody today about horror movies, and I think it's something to do. So I think maybe I had this conversation too. Like, I don't like the horror movies. I don't like the anticipation. And I think it's because I've lived that, like I don't need to watch it on TV to remember going, what's coming at me. So, and it's funny because a lot of the veterans that I know are the same way. They don't watch horror movies because, especially ones that really got into it, like, why would I want to watch that when I've seen it in real life?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, off subject. That'll be for the Remember 22 episode we do.
Yeah. So we have a lot of really good stuff going on. AEW goes out and smashes every record on the planet. Has what I considered a 5-beard pay-per-view, and then they turn around and they one up themselves with a 5-beard with beads match card where you've bedazzled your beard or you've got something. I'm like, whoa, let's slow down, because we can have the card, we can have all of those rosters, we can have 2 separate cards and attitudes of shows, and have super shows every quarter where you're involving the New Japans, the Impacts, the what's the other? We talked about it the other night with it's not Dreamcast, Wrestle Dream. Yeah, a tribute show to Antonio Inoki, and like there's just so many options, and I really don't think, Punk or not, I don't think they should do away with Collision, because that is such a fun show to watch, and just the flow of the show. Generally, the crowds are really excited. And I don't know if it's because the way they record it, because they record the AEW Dynamite and then they do Rampage. So I don't know if that changes the vibe. And then they do Ring of Honor recordings too. So I'm not sure if the Ring of Honor is first and then, whatever. But you can totally tell the crowd on the Collision shows, they're here for it. And, I really just like, to all the wrestling fans, be a diehard New Japan, be a diehard Impact, AEW, WWE, whatever, but watch everything and take it all in. And then you can appreciate, how much better you like your product. I'm a big WWE fan. I like the finished product. You don't get the finished product with Impact. The lighting is different. The miking of the ring is different. It's a 500, 600,000 person crowd. So the acoustics is different. Just like when you watch NXT, you get a finished studio show, which is so bizarre, but it works for NXT. So, I'm glad we started talking at work, and you turned me on to AEW, and man, I can't wait till they do another show here at Daly's Place in Jacksonville and roll out the meet and greet with all the wrestlers right there in the training center for the Jags. That is so much fun. And just the vibe and energy in Daly's Place, just super cool. It's like a 8 or 9,000 seater underneath the Jaguar Stadium. And it just works, man. It totally works.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I miss them being here. It was a blast going. But we'll travel if need be. I mean, when we get to it. I'm hoping to go to All In next year.
Oh, baby.
I need to. Well, I mean, I'm hoping we get invited to All In
Yeah.
next year. But if not, maybe we'll have to pay for our tickets and go.
Yeah, hopefully you won't have the same passport issues that Becky Lynch recently had. She won't be heading to India to be on the Super Show due to a small tear on one of the pages in her passport.
Are you serious?
And so she's gonna be staying back, and I think it works because she's gonna be in a program with the prettiest moonsault in professional wrestling. That's her words, not mine. Okay,
I will say,
I do like it
I saw it the other day, and did she change it up
a little bit.
I watched recently.
She doesn't turn her head anymore.
Well, and the other thing I saw, she bounced from bottom rope to middle rope to top rope and did it, and I don't remember seeing her do that before. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty slick. Like it was so smooth, and I'm like, oh, that might
She's
take
so
Io
freaking
Sky's.
athletic. God, no, I like Io Sky as she's bringing it around. It just reminds me of Sammy Guevara's kip up. How it's so smooth, and he just comes up like, dude, that is a. But yeah, so AEW doing a lot of really good things. Their women's roster is getting bigger and better. The fact that Bryan Danielson is going to be back, I'd really like to hear again that Omega and Hangman are involved with the producing of the women's matches, because they were really bringing some awesome matches. And rumor has it that Mickie James is considering a producing role. And with Nick Aldis being over with the WWE now, she may be heading to the WWE as a producer. But if she were to end up at AEW, that would bring some really cool storytelling to AEW's women's roster.
Speaking of women's roster, man, we didn't even it's been a weird show for us to do because we usually kind of try to go through every segment, but we got on a tangent about CM Punk and the future of AEW. But I thought that match with Emmy, I'm going to butcher her name, the Statlander match, which was I think it was the second match. Oh my gosh, those two went out here for a 6-minute sprint and was hard hitting. And I was really impressed with that match. And again, I keep going, give me more women wrestling like that. Like we want more of it. And Toni Storm, I'm loving this character. Chin up, tits out.
Oh my God. And watch out for something with the shoes. Next thing you see, whoop.
Yeah, chin up, tits out. And don't forget to watch out for the shoe. It's that work she's doing is really good, and I'm curious where we're going to go with it. AEW, man, this show between All Out and All In too. All In was really good. Between All In, All Out, and then this Dynamite, I'm like, oh man, if they can keep this streak going, they're allowed to have poopers every once in a while, but most of the time you want to keep it kind of slick and running. I'm hoping they keep this trend up and get back to their roots. I wish they'd bring back the damn ratings. The rankings, because I think that was one of the coolest things they did, and I hate that they got rid of that. But
yeah, where wins and losses mattered, and that was just so different. Because like you hear as a sports entertainment fan, unless you were like a tried and true Georgia Championship Wrestling, because they made like wins and losses seem more significant. And I'd like to see them get it back to it, and they don't talk about it, but they still display it. So the other night they showed that Statlander was 9-0. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but why is that significant? And talking about, so like, okay, so take Ricky Stark. I said a few minutes ago, we need to strap him up. He needs a title, and because he could make a title, and a title could be a big difference. They don't show him walking around with the Owen Hart title. They don't even bring it up. The only title or only belt that they talk about is the belt that he used when he beat Steamboat. So you're like, okay, so he just had a great match. Yes, the match went the way it did with Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, and I just like, that would be one where you'd be like, okay, well, he's lost 2 matches in a row, and he really needs to get back on track because he's down at the bottom of the rung. And then, they start the show with him like in the parking garage or, something. I'm here because I'm not going anywhere. Next thing you know, he has a damn parking lot brawl match. He wins that. And then toward the end of the show, he's standing in the ring. I'm not going anywhere till I get someone in this ring, and I'm going to build my record back up because I'm coming after you, whether it's Moxley, whether it's Luchasaurus or MJF. You might think that you're the champion, but there was someone here before that was carrying around the real world's championship. I want to meet the other person that thinks that they deserve that title, more than me. And out comes Hangman Page. Yeah, I was the world champion. I was this, that, and the third, and I lost. I never had my rematch after I hurt my eye or whatever. And now we're gonna go, and out comes Tony. Good morning, Chicago. How are you? Has that little, his eyes get up. Yeah, man. You're much better at booking AEW than I am, but there's got to be a way to get from here to champion with Stark. And and you're like, oh, well, wait a minute. There's a lot of you're right, man. There's so many good wrestlers on that show that deserve
we just
to be
talked about
champion.
Swerve. Yeah.
Swerve, dude, he needs to be strapped up. I don't want to see him as a tag team champion anymore. And then I'm talking out of both sides of my face right now because I'm like, well, we need him to be a champion. I believe that Mox as the international champion is the right call. I think that MJF as the world champion is the right call. I love the story with Christian and Luchasaurus and that TNT championship, but I think we need a couple of titles if we're going to have two shows. So it's going to show you're going to have the Iron Man title and you're going to have, I don't even know. And because I don't want to discredit the TNT title and everything that Cody did and Brody did for the title and everything. But yeah, those two specific, I think would benefit from being a champion. And you could say at the same time, like, well, Moxley doesn't really need a championship. Well, no, yes and no. Like, what are you doing with Mox? He has been the workhorse for AEW for the last 2 years because CM Punk got suspended, got hurt, won the title, lost the title, got suspended, got hurt, and now is fired. So you're like, okay, well, Moxley was just trying to take a few days off.
I don't know if he ever got his vacation.
And he's been here grinding it out. Yeah. And he's been grinding it out, and now here he is as your international champion, which, by the way, I thought I bought. Damn. So thank you to my poor eyesight when I purchased a title. I thought I bought the international title and I clicked the wrong icon, and I will be getting a vintage, I'm air quoting, of a All Atlantic.
Still the same belt. It just has different flags on it, I think.
It's still a beauty. It's so awesome. And I've got the white Intercontinental Championship for both WWE and IWGP will be here on the 12th. So super excited about that. And, something else that I'm super excited about is when the hell are we going to see Jade Cargill?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because there were rumors she wasn't coming back. Then she's been stirring the pot that she is. So I'm not sure. But I'm ready for her to come back too. And it'll be a nice hit and a nice splash. And I'm hoping she comes back and is accompanied with Monet, because I think that would be a cool little tangent. Or I don't know, man. I just want to see Mercedes show up somewhere again.
What are some of the rumors that you've heard? Because I've heard a bunch of different ones, and it was like, I'm like, man, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but I like her showing up anywhere right now
for Mercedes,
especially. Right.
AEW is the one I keep hearing, which is why she was at All In, but she's not cleared to wrestle yet. So from what I understand, she was supposed to be at Forbidden Door and was supposed to be taken on, I don't remember who it was, but yeah, she was supposed to be at Forbidden Door in a match. And yeah, all the talks and everything kind of points to that she will probably end up. But I think she might do like Moxley and kind of be on one of those open free contracts, which AEW is the place to go for that stuff. Because Moxley shows up at like independent Yahoo shows and beats up Mace Warner. So I mean, it's just
he shows up at damn like Hog Wrestling and Warrior Wrestling, and I don't know. And we still have to finish planning the rest of our trip to the city of brotherly love when we head off to WrestleMania. But Warrior Wrestling, if there is a show and it doesn't conflict with one of the other shows that we want to go to that may or may not be at the Hammerstein Ballroom, and I would love to some Warrior Wrestling, just the energy and the vibe, and man.
I wonder if they're one I'd like to see, and I'd like to go see Mission Pro Wrestling too. That's the one. Like I don't know if they travel much, but that's another one I'd like to see is Mission Pro. because I think
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
a lot of really good women wrestling in that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. If we have to travel to Texas, I think we could figure out a one hopper from Jacksonville to Dallas Fort Worth and get a rental and drive
Hit Mission Pro
if
up.
need be, or yeah, or we fly out of Sanford, which is just an hour and a half or so from here
Okay.
toward Orlando, and they have those little one hoppers
Yeah.
to places if Mission Pro is near there.
Yeah, I'll reach out to my contact and see what we could do. Get over there and catch a show.
Yeah, please do. I was just looking at the clock. Holy cow, this is literally the fastest show we've ever done. Cow, it's been almost an hour too. That's crazy.
Yeah, I just looked up and I'm like, wow, we didn't even cover a lot of the stuff I wanted to cover, but that's all right. That's what continuation's for, and keep people on the hook. So, but we appreciate everybody listening. So if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble, which we go live on every single Tuesday and Thursday, knock on wood, we keep that trend up. Like and subscribe, hit the notification button so you know when we go live. We're working on getting this better, and we're starting to throw some shorts up and seeing how those come out. So we appreciate everybody hanging in there with us. If you're listening to our original format, which is our audio format only, we are at 144,000 total downloads, which is amazing. I would have never thought we'd have got there so quick, and it's amazing. So we appreciate everybody that, obviously we have some loyal listeners that listen a lot, and we appreciate everybody doing that. Again, like, subscribe, download it so you don't miss anything.
Sorry. So speaking of loyal fans, so I recently had a below average haircut situation, and I've been kind of like trying to piece everything back together. And I was like, I gotta almost hit a reboot real quick. And my guys over at the Clip Joint, Charles, didn't know me from Adam. I go walking in. My sons go to the Clip Joint right here in St. Augustine, St. John's on 210. I go walking in, and he goes, "Are you waiting for someone specific?" And I was like, "No, I'm just waiting for the next open chair." He sits down. We start talking. He says to me, "So what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I work for a company that you probably buy a lot of stuff from." And he's like, "Oh, cool. So what else do you do?" And I was like, "Oh," and I kind of giggle. I'm like, "Well, I got this little side hustle where me and my buddy, we talk about bourbon, barbecue, and body slams." He's like, "Huh." And he kind of like sucks his teeth and he says something and he goes, "What's it called?" And I was like, "The No Shave Man Cave." And he's like, "The No Shave Man Cave, a couple of veterans talking about wrestling and a bunch of other stuff." And I was like, dude, I was laughing so hard. And one of the guys sitting over on the other side, he looks up and goes, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have a podcast. We talk about wrestling and stuff." And he's like, "Dude, that's so cool." So shout out to the Clip Joint over here in St. Augustine for making my day. And Charles, you're the man. I will be back. And if you swing into the Clip Joint, tell him that Ellie Jer and Jay Tilley sent you. He'll know what you're talking about. So funny, man. Oh, man. So again, like you were saying, thank you so much. Super humbled. We're just a couple of dudes. We would be talking about wrestling anyway. And this is just such a fun forum. And the people that we've met and the hustle that Jay Tilley's been doing is totally not represented. But yeah, he's killing it behind the scenes. So to everyone who's listening, I totally appreciate the grind that you got going on, dude.
I appreciate it, man. Well, go ahead and take us out, man. Yeah. We're there. Might as well.
Hey, there it is. Hey, just like Jay Tilley's been telling you, like, share, subscribe, the No Shave Man Cave, wherever you get your socials and your podcasts. To our brothers and sisters at arms, thank you so much for what you do. We really wholeheartedly appreciate your efforts and our freedom. So hurry up doing what you do. Get your ass home because your family needs you. To our friends, our fam, we'll see you back here. Man, we are going to see you back here on Saturday, part of the Fantasy Sports Corp, the No Shave Man Cave. Come check us out. 7 to 8 on Saturday. We'll be talking all things professional wrestling throughout the week. So until next time, my friends, my fam, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you on the floor.
You've been listening to the No Shave Man Cave.
If it's pro wrestling, we're talking about it. Unless we see something shiny and wander off into the woods. If you hang around long enough, we'll eventually come back. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Fire off your comments and be sure to leave us a 5-star rating, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at No Shave Men Cave. Y'all be cool, and we'll see you next time on the floor.